It's Friday morning, about 9 o'clock on December 22nd, 2023. I just put the new wire up. I haven't let the cows in yet, but along the tree line, there's all these birds, these black birds. Hundreds and hundreds of them. They're all perched in these trees here. And when I came close, it made a big whooshing sound. So those black birds are back. I'm not entirely sure what they are or what kind of things they do for my pasture, but I'm glad to see them. So it's raining a little bit. Oh, look at all this dock. It's all over the place here. Anyway, it's raining a little tiny bit. We got about a half inch of rain yesterday and last night. We expect another half inch over the next couple days. So you can probably tell that I'm walking through a part of the pasture that has some grass, not a lot of grass. I can hear cows on my back neighbor's property. They're selling that property, and there's a big house on there. And I meant to check to see when the sale's under contract, and then after it's sold, I was planning to go say hi and offer to graze their fields for them so they can maintain their tax exemption status. But I might have missed the ball on that. I haven't really been following it that close. I've been thinking about if I had access to another like 100 acres, what would I change? Would it make my life better? Not really. Not really. So let me just get the wire off here, and I'll come back and collect it later. Whoa! I'll get it later. So, rain. Important topic. Rain is free. And without rain, like if you had to irrigate your fields, then you would never make money, because there's farmers out there who are using rain and they're not irrigating. And so they basically have an advantage over you. So if you're paying for your water to irrigate your fields, you're never going to make money. The rain is super important. Same with sunlight. You know, if you're trying to grow something that requires a lot of sunlight and you're in a northern climate that doesn't get a lot of sunlight, you're never going to win, because there's people not too far from where you live, you know, because airplanes and trains exist. There's people that are going to collect a lot of free sunlight. But you want to optimize what you do get. And in optimizing that, you're going to save a lot of money. But more especially, you're going to produce a better product, no matter what you're doing. Because by optimizing for rain collection and solar collection, you're actually creating more healthy and vibrant soil and ecosystems and things like that. Okay, so rain. What's the story on rain? If this field was just pure dirt, my soil type is a clay soil type. It wouldn't absorb the water very well. So the water would sit on top, and it wouldn't do very much, and it would run off, and as it runs off, it would tear the field apart, right? Create little canyons and things like that. Since I've got this green stuff and brown stuff all over the grass, it helps to keep the moisture in place, and it also helps to kind of keep the soil in place. Those are two good things. We want to keep the soil on our land. We don't want to wash it away to bedrock. We don't want to take away that precious top couple inches where all the life is. That's pretty important. So the plants, they call it ground cover, helps to maintain the water on the surface so it doesn't flow away. The other thing it does is it increases the ability of the soil to absorb water. And I think it's Gabe Brown. He does demonstrations of this where he brings in two types of soil and probably somebody else, but what he does is he brings soil from the local area that he's talking at, and he brings soil from a farm that does regenerative practices, no-till, things like that, and he dumps water on them, and he shows that the soil with regenerative practices is able to absorb the water, whereas the soil that doesn't, the water just runs off the top. It doesn't penetrate the soil at all, right? And the reason for that is many reasons, but I'd like you to consider a couple of reasons and then consider what the implications are. Reason number one is if you have roots that extend from the surface down, then the water can travel along those roots down, right? If you didn't have those roots, then the water couldn't travel along the roots, could it? And reason number two is the life inside the soil causes it to open up. And so there's little air pockets. So it's more like a sponge than a brick, right? Well, I guess bricks absorb water. So it's more like a sponge than what's something that doesn't, like a paraffin wax, right? A block of wax, okay? That's what you want, okay? So the story on rain is you need to have ground cover to capture that rain and put it in the soil, right? And the deeper the roots, the stronger the soil, the more rainwater it can absorb. And so you will find yourself more resistant to droughts. You'll find your fields will stay green longer. When the weather dries up, it'll also help to keep the soil at a better temperature throughout the year, so closer to ideal standards and things like that. That's what I'm told. And for me, I have seen that myself. When I first got this field, it was just ryegrass, and when it would rain, there would be muddy streams all over my property. But last year, when we got rain, I noticed that the streams were clear, crystal clear, right? Pure water. I wouldn't drink it. I probably could drink it because the parasites in the water wouldn't affect me. But, pure, clean water. And I also noticed that there was a lot fewer puddles when I started this rotational grazing technique. So fewer puddles, less, the murky water wasn't murky, and the soil stayed in place. That's good reasons to, I think, do things like this. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was grass. And I had the thought, I made a couple videos about the grass is not good in that particular spot because it's a sacrificial lot. And then I walked over here to this position and said, see, there's grass here. Okay. And I'm confident, 100% confident. Oh, look at that ram rubbing himself on the tree. I'm confident that this is enough grass to feed these cows, that they will munch on this grass. And then when I come here this evening to move them, they won't have made much of a difference, right? And so the grass will be ready to regrow quickly. I'm pretty confident about that, right? Very, very confident. If I were not confident that that would be the case, what would I do? And I told myself, I said, you know what? I would not move them through the row. I would just keep them at the beginning of the row, roll out the hay so they can get to it. It'd probably take about 3.5 days for them to eat all the hay, probably 2 days, so I might roll out a second bale of hay. And then I would move them to the next row and evaluate. So I'm going to evaluate whether I should rotate this next rotation. So I have 2 more rows to go. By the way, you can see the hoof prints that the cows are leaving in the soil. If I had huge, massive cows, the soil would be destroyed. It would just be a big mud bowl. Or if I left them on this area for too long. Okay, so this is the next row. And my question to myself, and you can answer in the comments below, is this enough grass that if my cows were to graze on it for half a day, that there would be plenty left over to recover quickly? That's the only question that matters, right? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to rotate through the row. But if the answer is, I don't know, maybe, then I'm not going to rotate. I'm going to just feed them hay. I'm going to let the ground rest. Okay, so I'm asking myself that question. I'm asking you guys that question if you want to comment below. And I'm going to give you my answer. Yes, there's plenty of grass here. It'll be perfectly fine. Okay, so the 9th row, we're gonna rotate. Let's go look at the 10th row, whether we're gonna rotate the 10th row. Okay, just walk a few feet this way, it's not that far. This is the boneyard, by the way. You'll find cattle bones here, different things. All right, this is the 10th row. Okay, where I'm standing right here, the answer would be no. Okay, but that's not the whole story, is it? Here is definitely yes. Look at all that grass. The Indian grass is past my knees. The seed heads on the Indian grass. Lots of green and yellow and browns and reds even. And the grass is thick and tall. Well over a foot tall in many places. Look at this. Yeah, that's old Indian grass. Look at that, up to my knees. So you can tell me whether you would rotate these cows on this rotation in this area. But my answer is yes, right? Yes, that's going to be enough. Because when they come through and eat this grass, there'll be so much left over that it will be able to recover quickly. That's the only question that matters, right? If you have enough grass that your cows will eat it and leave plenty left over, trample it in the ground, but you'll have like 4 or 6 inches of grass left over after they've gone through, then that grass can recover quickly. And so you should rotate. If you don't have that grass, then you can't rotate. Again, the story is you can't rotate if you don't have grass, and you can't rotate if they'll eat too much grass. They won't leave enough behind, right? If you decide to ignore that advice, then you'll have the same problems I had for the past 2 years, where the grass just doesn't grow. Why? Because I'm overgrazing it. I'm not giving it a chance to recover. This grass is beautiful here, by the way. If my whole field looked like this, I'd be so happy. So in the earlier part of the row, there's definitely not enough grass. And if my pasture looked like that, I would not be rotating. I would just be feeding them hay and sacrificing some lots. But the later part in the row is good enough that I want to rotate through. I'm not trying to get gains on my cows. That's not my primary purpose right now. My primary focus is to grow grass, right? Because with grass, I can do anything. Without grass, I can't do anything. So I need grass. And so the question I'm always asking is, rotating the cows through the grass going to get me more grass, or is it going to get me less grass? And if the answer is less grass, then I don't rotate, right? There's simple math there, right? I want more grass, so I do things to get more grass, and I don't do things that get me less grass. I don't know how much more explicit and clear it can be and obvious. So, and then everything else is intuition and measurements and observation, right? If you're out here in the field every day moving the cows, you're going to start to notice some patterns. And you're going to go, oops, I should not have moved the cows into that area. They ate all the grass. And it's not going to regrow for a long time. And when you see that, then you're like, whoa, I got to re-question my decisions here and reevaluate my strategy, make changes, right? Anyway, guys, as you can see, the cows are just fine. Even number 24 isn't doing too bad. Have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.